Hi everyone, Kartik Krishnaiyer here for the Florida Squeeze. Big election night with the two congressional special elections in Florida last night, where Republicans hold both seats, Mike Waltz's former seat and the former Matt Gaetz seat. I was going to say Jeff Miller. It was Jeff Miller's seat before, dating myself to Scarborough seat and Earl Hutto's seat way back when. Bob Sykes' seat. Right, the Bob Sykes district, CD1, still one district in Florida whose number hasn't changed. So Republicans win both those races. Jimmy Patronis wins in the first congressional district, and Randy Fine, the very controversial and very highly within Republican Party circles, I've even found through the years, disliked Randy Fine, is headed to Congress. So those will be two solid votes for Mike Johnson, and those will be two Republican congressmen who toe the party line. And Jimmy Patronis is particularly motivated by the idea that everything is part of a woke conspiracy. So every financial issue, everything that comes from poor Republican economic policies, from everything that happens because the insurance industry is running amok in Florida, it's all the fault of woke and DEI. So they'll fit in nicely in the Republican caucus, Republican conference in Washington, in Mike Johnson's Republican conference. But in both races, the Republicans underperformed, and I think pretty dramatically in CD1. CD6, not as much. The Democrats are spinning it as if it's some sort of great victory, but actually, Democrats tend to do well in special elections in Central Florida. That's a pattern going back 20 years, actually going back 25 years. Even some state legislative special elections have tended to overperform in special elections, whether it was in Brevard or Orange or Volusia, always. So I think it's just part of that pattern. But Congressional District 1 is what I want to address, because I have been beating the drums for years about Escambia County, saying that Escambia County is one of the few counties in Florida which was better for Barack Obama in his two elections than it was for Bill Clinton in his two elections. The other county that fits this pattern would be Seminole, one of the counties we just talked about in Central Florida, where special elections have tended to go well for the Democrats through the years. And Escambia's kind of continued down that trajectory. Now, it hasn't moved towards the Democrats because the state and the nation, quite frankly, have been moving pretty significantly away from the Democrats. Even blue states, I think the exceptions may be Washington State and Colorado. Really, those are the only two states in the country, maybe Vermont, that are trending Democratic. Every state, blue or red, in this country is trending Republican. Every single state, okay? And every single part of Florida is trending Republican, with the exception of Escambia County and Seminole, maybe Duval. So Escambia County's numbers haven't necessarily improved for the Democrats because Florida has swung maybe 8 to 10 points to the right since 2016, statewide. And in some places, the swings have been more exaggerated. Miami-Dade County, Hillsborough County, Osceola County, the swings have been even greater than that 8 to 10 points. Broward County, actually. Broward County used to be a 65 to 70% Democratic county in any race. Now I think the next presidential election, the Democrats will be lucky to crack 55% in Broward. I mean, it's demographic changes too. But Democratic operatives would push back against my narrative that, you really should engage in Escambia. And I'm not looking necessarily just at electoral numbers. I'm looking at Pensacola itself having a hipster culture. Pensacola is attracting a different kind of younger professional than other parts of the state, other than Jacksonville. And we've seen the trend in Duval County. And also because Pensacola is it's the South, right? It's more the South than it is Florida in many ways. And other southern areas that are like Pensacola, whether it's Little Rock, whether it's Birmingham, whether it's Louisville, whether it's Nashville, whether it's even Huntsville, Alabama, right? Similar size place. There's a trend going on there toward the Democrats, which maybe you don't notice because they're in red states and you're looking at the overall number where 90% of 90 or 95% of white voters outside of those core urban areas in those states are voting Republican. Not in Florida, but in those other states I mentioned: Kentucky, Tennessee, Louisiana, Alabama, Mississippi. So Pensacola specifically, and then greater scope, Escambia County is competitive, is more competitive than it has been, and should be even more competitive if the Democrats would devote some resources there. So I think this should wake them up about that. The Democratic operatives in Florida are kind of a class of grifter that is making money off of all of our miseries being, put upon by reckless Republican governance of this state for the last 25 years. And they're happy, the Democratic operatives. They're making their money. They're lobbying. They're able to have access to county commissioners in urban counties who are Democrats in Broward or Orange. Really, those are the only two left. But previously in Hillsborough, Pinellas, Miami-Dade, and Palm Beach, right? And then access to the Democratic legislators in Tallahassee. So they don't really care about losing these races. They're making their money. And then they feign misery, and you and I throw money at them, and they lose races. So not paying attention to Pensacola and Escambia County is part of their wheelhouse because it was out of their comfort zone. Well, since the Democrats have hit rock bottom in Florida, and now we see signs that they could recover if the right things were done, let's start focusing on Escambia County. I think that's really important.